Howdy, and welcome back to Ruben Uncut. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in the world. We still got wars raging all over the place. Uh, America's political system is still fraught with hatred. And a handful of multimillionaires just died at the bottom of the ocean because they got onto a half-assed submarine from the sound of everything. You know it's bad when James Cameron drops a video where he just essentially just slams dunks on your death. Uh that's a thing. Look it up. But today, instead of that, instead of talking about all that stuff, because I'm tired of that stuff, to be frank, I'm gonna be talking about a movie I saw that I didn't think was very good, to be completely honest. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah, it was pretty mid in a lot of ways. But I'm sure this movie has its fans. Because why wouldn't it? It's got Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman in it, plus a number of other Justice League members. What, pray tell, is this movie? Well, it's not the Justice League. You know, the movie that brilliant piece of epic filmmaking by Zack Snyder. And it's not the travesty of an abortion that Joss Whedon made either. No, this movie is somewhere in between those. It's not as good as Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it's not as horrific as Whedon's cut of that movie. Nope, we're talking about Injustice. Now, the first thing we have to address, we're actually talking about a little bit more than Injustice, okay? Because you see, the thing is Injustice is based around a concept that has reoccurred throughout comic books, which is essentially what happens when superheroes have too much power and they don't get along. Now, we've seen this play out in the movies, of course. Batman v Superman, that incredibly piecemeal Civil War movie starring Captain America. We've seen it. We've seen that shit. However, the thing about Civil War is a good example because Civil War and Injustice, ultimately, when you break them down, are both ripping off a comic book called Kingdom Come. In fact, arguably, a lot of some of today's least popular superhero tropes come from this book called Kingdom Come. And Kingdom Come is great, and you should read it. Kingdom Come is written by Mark Waid and drawn by Alex Ross. And by drawn, I mean painted by Alex Ross. It is a gorgeous book. It is ironically would have been the perfect DC graphic novel to have Zack Snyder adapt in many ways. And we probably won't ever get that movie. But he would have absolutely been the best person to direct it. I feel like it would have been a good matchup with him. And he probably would have tried to make the movie look as much like a painting as possible, which could have been sick. The thing about this storyline is that a number of elements from this storyline continue to cause ramifications outwards into comics. It has often been repeated, but it has often been copied, but rarely as successfully repeated. Most of the storylines that sort of build off of Kingdom Come have fallen short of the glory of Kingdom Come. And many of its major points have grown tired in the mainstream of comic books. What kind of concepts am I talking about? Well, let's talk about its imitators so I can tell you some of the things that it started. First of all, Wonder Woman being ready to kill people with a sword. That's from Kingdom Come. It's possible. I haven't read War of the Gods, from the 80s. So maybe Wonder Woman was ready to cut some fools down with a sword in that one, and I just haven't read it. But Kingdom Come is the earliest I can remember. This exact exchange comes in Kingdom Come between Wonder Woman and Superman at a high point in the conflict. Wonder Woman says, oh, sorry, Wonder Woman says, "We are at war," and Superman goes, "But in war, people die." And then Wonder Woman just looks at him like he's an idiot. Because he kind of is. So, what is Kingdom Come? What is the major story of Kingdom Come? Well, Kingdom Come goes like this. Once upon a time, in the future of the DC universe, the Joker kills everybody at the Daily Planet, including including Lois Lane. Kills them all. Then Superman shows up at the arrest of Joker. But before Superman has any time to do anything, a newer, younger, more extreme 90s style superhero named Magog steps up and just fucking roasts the Joker. And I don't mean with comedy. I mean he blasts him through the chest with his laser trident thing. I don't know. I don't remember if it's actually a trident. How many points did that thing have? I don't know. It's not important. The point is that's where it starts. The story. Superman in this story takes all his pain and sadness and he flies away. He decides that apparently truth, justice, and not killing a dude, it's outdated. It's outmoded. The world doesn't need Superman anymore. And when Superman disappears into his exile, self-imposed exile, a new breed of young, more violent, more extreme superheroes enter the fray. At which point, that goes pretty badly up until a moment caught on camera where Magog and his team of superheroes are fighting the Parasite, a classic Superman villain. When the Parasite tears Captain Atom in half, which is significant because he's made of nuclear energy. And wait, what state do they nuke in Kingdom Come? Kansas. Superman's home state gets obliterated. Absolutely obliterated. And the only survivor of this incident, wouldn't you know it, is Magog. His whole team gets nuked, Kansas gets nuked, and Captain Atom seems pretty dead. And this causes Superman to come back. And Superman comes back laying down the law. Superman and Wonder Woman, as well as a team of other classic superheroes, team up and essentially go around being like, okay, you can either join us or we'll throw you in prison in our super gulag, if you will. Because Superman and Wonder Woman build a super gulag and they start putting all the superheroes who won't team up with them in the gulag. Now, there are two other factions that happen in this comic, one of which is the team led by Batman. And Batman's team thinks that Superman is going a little fascist. A little fascist. So Batman pretends to team up with the bad guys, being a team led by Lex Luthor, the heir of Ra's al Ghul, and a bunch of other people, including Catwoman. And a Riddler who's only there because Catwoman vouched for him. The book's great, and I definitely recommend it. But I'll be bringing up some of the things it started that are considered cliche now. Thing number one, you may have heard me mention the super gulag, because they totally do that. They build a super gulag and keep everyone who fights back there. which is exactly what Tony Stark and Reed Richards do in the Civil War comic book. Oh, by the way, what happens in the Civil War comic book is that a team of teenage superheroes named the New Warriors uh, essentially confront a Hulk villain who has nuclear powers, and he nukes a whole city. He nukes the whole city because the New Warriors weren't prepared to take on a villain of his power levels. And if you've seen the movie, you're like, that's not what happens in the movie. You're right, because the movie it doesn't follow the comic book very well at all. However, from that point on, Iron Man teams up with the government to start registering superheroes, which basically means you either join Iron Man's team or you go to his Phantom Zone gulag, where Reed Richards is keeping all their former friends and enemies in prison. You know what I mean. Some of these elements also came into a little thing we call injustice. Now, in Civil War, of course, Captain America is the, hey, we should stop throwing superheroes who just don't want the government in their business into a super gulag. Another comic that clearly took its cues from Kingdom Come is Injustice. So what's Injustice about, you might be saying? Because this is the movie that I'm here to talk about. This is the thing that I watched that made me go, I don't know about this. And there's a reason for that. So, Injustice is actually based on a video game based on DC Comics. Although there is now a long-running comic books. Is it still being published? I don't know. But they published a lot of issues of Injustice, the Injustice comic book. The universe of the Injustice video game has been heavily expanded, is what I'm saying, and it's very popular. However, Injustice is essentially, well, Injustice is Kingdom Come, with a lot more Superman being a fascist. Now, Superman being a fascist is, interestingly enough, a concept that has reoccurred in comic books a number of times, and actually in the mythos itself. Superman being a fascist is also a storyline from the Justice League Unlimited series, where a future version of the Justice League called the Justice Lords, who have gone, fascist, and by fascist I mean authoritarian for anyone who's a stickler, but technically fascist implies that there is no higher authority than, Superman. So it's a common idea. Also, you could kind of say Superman taking orders from Ronald Reagan is, well, it's at least statist, if nothing else. But so Injustice, getting back to it, this video game's key starting event that kicks off the whole storyline is that the Joker kills Wonder Woman, and I keep doing that. I keep saying Wonder Woman instead of Lois Lane. I wonder what kind of weird Freudian slip that is. But the point is, the Joker kills everyone in Metropolis by nuking Metropolis. Although, except he has Deadshot just shoot Jimmy Olsen right in the face, which is probably where they got the idea for Batman v Superman. Just throwing that out there. and I'm not gonna lie, it's very clear that Batman v Superman took a lot of inspiration from Injustice, notably in terms of certain design choices, like the Flash. The Flash's outfit looks like it's from the game Injustice. And the Batman fight scenes are clearly inspired by a different video game, the Arkham series of Batman games, which are very good. I didn't get very far in the third game, kind of gave up on it. But that second game, it's real good. I haven't played the first one. Arkham Origins, underrated, but not considered part of the main series, which is unfortunate because it has a lot better version of Bane. I'm getting sidetracked. Let's get back to Injustice. So in Injustice, both in the video game, the comics, and the movie that I'm going to be talking about here in a minute, like I said, the Joker kills everybody in Metropolis. Now he takes the Wonder Woman thing one step farther and uses Scarecrow's fear venom laced with kryptonite to which it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm going to be honest with you. Like the green kryptonite, I mean, sure, it might make him susceptible to the fear toxin, but it would also make it so that he couldn't do the thing he does next, which is that he imagines Doomsday attacking him and then flies Doomsday into space. Of course, it's not really Doomsday. It's his pregnant wife, Lois Lane, who, dies in outer space because her body's not made for that. And Superman is devastated. He just absolutely wrecked about it. So wrecked that he goes and puts his arm through Joker's chest. You see, this is where the divergence happens between Kingdom Come and Injustice. Is that in Kingdom Come, someone else murders the Joker, preventing Superman from fully going down that path of needing revenge. In fact, instead, he has the opportunity to see it from the outside and reassert his own values, even though this still leads to him creating basically a superhuman police state that threatens the stability of the entire world in the comic book Kingdom Come. But essentially, Superman starts doing the whole, you either join my team or I'll fucking kill you. Also, I can't remember entirely, but I think they start putting people in the Phantom Zone. They do start imprisoning people, including criminals who are already in regular prisons, which are not good enough for the most evil fascist Superman there ever has been. In fact, that might be the main thing about this series. Okay, a lot of people online talk about how, oh man, I'm so tired of this evil Superman trope. The thing about it is that there are a lot of tropes of Superman either being mind controlled into a fight with other people, or he becomes a authoritarian leader in the future, or in the case of Zack Snyder's Justice League, in a moment of pain and suffering, he allows the anti-life equation to take over his mind. Yeah, the evil Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League universe is not actually fully evil. He's being controlled by the anti-life equation. However, our man here from Injustice fucking loses it. Like, he goes berserk. Not right away, not all at once. He starts off by arresting a bunch of people and putting them in, I believe, the Phantom Zone. He does the whole, you're either with me or against me, and of course, Batman, as he always does, has to be the other side of this coin and starts assimilating his own team of people, which of course includes Green Arrow. Green Arrow's job, of course, throughout most of the movie is to essentially hide Harley Quinn from Superman so Superman doesn't murder her. Harley Quinn, of course, joins the good guys at a certain point, even though this is a pretty evil version of Harley Quinn. I'm not going to lie. I will say also, Green Arrow is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. They do a good job with him, I thought. You know who I don't think they do a good job with in this movie? Is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman over here. Wonder Woman here. Okay, so it's like this. So a lot of people like to say, oh, the Zack Snyder Justice League is so dark and edgy. Oh, Zack Snyder. And now I'm not going to lie. Zack Snyder is I'm pretty confident Zack Snyder is a Gen Xer who grew up reading the heavy metal comic book series. So he's going to be a little bit of an edgy boy. There's no getting away from that. But this fucking movie, This movie makes everything that Zack Snyder did seem very restrained by comparison. A lot of people like to sit around and go, oh, Zack Snyder's Superman is objectivist, a reference to the philosophical understandings of Ayn Rand. However, this is normally said by people who've never read Ayn Rand and don't actually understand what her analysis is like, or her methods of writing or portraying her philosophies. Because there's really nothing objectivist about Man of Steel or Batman v Superman or even Zack Snyder's Justice League. In fact, arguably the only character who comes close to being objectivist is a bad guy, and that would be Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. However, in this movie, Wonder Woman is objectivist as hell. I'm going to play this clip from the movie here for you.
The Justice League cannot be the world's police force.
The week's events have proven otherwise, Batman. Even now, Superman is saving lives while we talk.
If we continue on this path, we go from policing to occupying to jailing, then becoming tyrants.
Or justice is finally done. Some won't like it, especially those that oppress the weak. But isn't that why we formed the Justice League? To stop those people?
And you and Superman will decide which laws to enforce.
One law. To do what's right. This is a time for action. With our help, Superman can make a perfect world.
Oh, so now he's God.
The laws of Superman will not be the laws of Atlantis.
And certainly the Pentagon won't approve of a rogue Superman.
Question. How will you punish people when they break whatever rules Superman comes up with? I mean, I was a criminal. I needed second, third, and fourth chances before turning my life around, so what's the deal there?
Obviously, the punishment would fit the crime.
And you and Superman decide these punishments. I believe my time with the Justice League is over.
You can't be serious.
I also have to step back. From what I've heard, most of the magical heroes feel the same way.
That brings me to the Guardians. They've called John, Guy, and myself back to Oa.
We understand. Everyone has to make their own choice about this.
At last, we agree on something.
So yeah. Maybe, you know, when in my first viewing of it, I thought of Wonder Woman as being very objectivist, but rewatching the clip here now, I'm going to just go straight fash. She's straight fascist. Like everything she was saying there, action over words, all that stuff, that's straight fascist. The whole her vagary about the limits to Superman's laws, very fascist. So yeah, what am I saying? I'm saying Injustice is the edgy, dark comic book movie that everyone seems to have think that Zack Snyder's work is. Because this thing, damn, is it... First of all, the one thing I will give the movie credit for is it's not boring. There was never a part where I was bored. There were a lot of points where I thought to myself, this is fucking stupid. Like, just for example, there's a scene where Wonder Woman is interrogating Mirror Master. And the thing that got me about this scene is that she pulls him out of the mirror with her lasso. So she got the lasso of truth around him. And then she starts to threaten to break the mirror while he's halfway through it. But the thing is, that's not necessary. You have him with the lasso of truth, Wonder Woman. He can't lie to you. Just ask him the fucking questions. You're the last character in the universe who would need to do this, especially right now when you got him with the lasso of truth. The movie's full of weird, dumb writing like this. I'm not going to lie. Some of them, like, the scene is intense, but, like, if you think about it for even a split second, you're like, this is fucking stupid. Not only that, but the movie is filled with tiny moments like that just don't make sense and are just needlessly dramatic and edgy. Now, I will say, having only played a little bit of the video game and not really having read the comic for this series, however, I have seen some specific pages on the internet, which is actually one of the things that gave away one of the few deaths I was aware of from the series. But behind that, like, I won't lie, The one thing about this movie is that I was in suspense at numerous points because literally it felt like any of the characters could die horribly at any moment. And I do mean pretty horribly. Like, there's a lot of death in this movie. It kills a lot. It is not afraid to kill any of these characters. A lot. Some of the deaths genuinely surprising. Didn't see them coming. Now, part of that is because part of that is kind of the Game of Thrones thing. Like, there's a few characters where I was like, oh, I bet they're gonna set up this with that guy, but then he dies before that could ever happen. And I'm kind of like, oh, it's that kind of Game of Thrones thing they do, where it looks like they're setting something up from the future, but then the character dies before any of that potential can ever actually be realized. I don't know how you feel about that writing trope from Game of Thrones. It's annoying, right? I mean, although it does, I think it's annoying, although it does set up an interesting way of looking at death, you know? Like, everyone always has things they wanted to do before they died. So now we got fictional characters with threads that are set up that they will never be able to complete because they're dead. That's very lifelike. And this movie's got a bit of that. But it is the same basic premise. There's a moral conundrum. One of the team decides to go straight fash. And the other half of the team is like, no, thank you. And then they go to war. Now, like many of the straight to Blu-ray and DVD DC animated films they make nowadays that are very popular with the DC fan base. Even though, if I'm being honest, most of them are pretty mid. Like, I think the high points of these movies are 8s at best. This is not an 8. I will give it at best a 5 or a 6. Why? Well, because, like I said, it's never boring. At numerous points, it kept me on the edge of my seat of going, oh, who's gonna die next? Which is effective. And I would go into some of that, except I don't want to. It's the only thing that makes the movie entertaining is the constant, I don't know who's going to die next. So I'm not going to ruin the only thing that makes it fairly watchable. I will tell you, though, that the movie ends with a showdown between evil Superman and a Superman from a universe where Superman is good. I will also give the movie props for excellent use of less used characters like Mr. Terrific. This movie makes Mr. Terrific seem pretty badass, and I can't deny that. But like, the thing about the movie is that if you are not, if my use of the term edgy made you go, I don't think I need to see that, then you probably don't. It's edgy, it's dark, it's violent. And I personally don't have a problem with these. My major problem with the movie is that it's dumb. Remember that Wonder Woman thing I was talking about a minute ago? The movie's full of weird shit like that. Also, this is the most evil Superman. The most evil. And I'm including communist Superman who put brainwashing devices in people's heads so they could be controlled by Brainiac 5. Wait, which Brainiac is it? No, Brainiac 5 is from the Legion of Superheroes. Whichever Brainiac ended up in communist Batman. I mean communist Superman. It's called Superman the Red Sun. Great book. One of Mark Millar's better books before he, just traded nuance for loads of cash. Seriously, if there's one person in Hollywood who should not get to criticize Zack Snyder's superhero movies, it's probably Mark Millar, who is one of the edgiest boys in comic books, who is not afraid to kill off anybody or load his comic books up with violence, even sexual violence. I'm looking at you, Kick-Ass 2. No, there's sexual violence. Well, it's off panel, but sexual violence is implied to have happened in Kick-Ass 2, the comic. The movie glosses over this and turns it into a joke instead of a horrible violation and death. The person also lives in the second movie, even though in the comic books they're kind of a terrible bitch. But that's besides the point. Doesn't mean they deserve the sexual violence. That's not what I'm saying. The point is that Mark Millar is an edgy boy who should not get to judge these types of things. And also, Mark Millar is the type of person who is willing to sacrifice the integrity of his comic book storylines and characters for a big fat sack of cash. So it seems weird that he would have any voice to speak on any sort of changes or character things in comic book movies. I'm just saying, Mark Millar, you let them ruin Kick-Ass, and you let them get rid of all the costumes in that movie where they bend the bullets. I'm forgetting its name right now. And so yeah. Oh, and you let them change the ending of The Kingsman, even though the ending of the book is better. I think it's better. I think it's a better ending. I'm just saying. But I'm way off topic now. The point is this Superman is fucking evil, and it gets dark. Like, I'll just tell you the darkest part. Okay, I'll tell you the darkest part. Okay, first of all, Superman does start going around killing people and being like, oh no, all evil must be punished and stuff. But essentially, at one point, he discovers a rave going on, and everyone at the rave are these like kids in their late teens, early 20s, running around with Joker paint on their faces. And he comes in and they start throwing stuff at him, and he is unbelievably pissed. He is unbelievably pissed that they would worship the Joker. So he murders them all. He straight up murders a bunch of young adults, probably for having bad family lives. That's probably what would drive a young person to become the Joker like that. It gets dark. Like I said, it gets dark. Hella dark. I wish I could remember more of the stupid moments from the movie. But they are escaping me right now. That Wonder Woman thing, though, that was a standout. That was a, what the fuck are you doing here moment. Like, who wrote this scene? Who was like, yeah, this is a good scene? No, this scene is dumb. This scene is profoundly poorly written. The movie is full of like dumb little moments like that where characters just don't do anything that makes sense, or they do something that they just do something aggravatingly stupid where you're like, what was the writer thinking here? It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Like I said, it's watchable. It was never boring, but I definitely couldn't recommend this movie to everyone. At best, it's a novelty act. At worst, it's kind of an edgy waste of time. So what is my takeaway here? Only watch this movie if you want an edgy time with evil Superman over here that everyone is ripping off the comic book Kingdom Come, and also you should read Kingdom Come. It's a good book. Just saying. We missed. That should have been that should, you know, if DC wasn't so focused on this whole shared universe thing, that should be the book they asked Zack Snyder to make into a movie. They should have. I would like to think in a timeline where Warner Brothers understands comic books, they would have asked Zack Snyder to make the Kingdom Come movie. That is the best possible timeline. Even though I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. All right. Well, thank you for watching / listening. The video version of this will definitely go up on YouTube, even though it's really just me standing in front of this image, playing a couple clips for you. But the point is, thank you for listening / watching / being you. Please like and subscribe, share, whatever you could do to help me out here, you know, because I'd appreciate it. Please like and subscribe both here on Spotify, where I assume you're listening to it, or one of the various other podcasting stations that carry things that also happen to be on Spotify. Also, please do like and subscribe the YouTube channel. They're both called Ruben Uncut, although I have discovered there are videos on YouTube called Ruben Uncut that are not me. They're not related to me. And I don't think they're ripping me off either. I'm not well known. So please do find my YouTube and like and subscribe. Comment and share. If you wish to contact the podcast, you can email me at rubenuncut@gmail.com. Thank you.